Though you would know that you would not know that by the attention given them in a society. They get a lot of attention focused on. These are the society order givers. They control the major economic resources of the country. The reason we know about them is that kind of control. If you're talking the richest single person in the country, who is that? Bill Gates. Why is he that way? Microsoft. The richest single family in the country. Anybody know what that one is? The Waltons. Why are they there? Walmart. Paris Hilton. What is she good at? I don't know. But it's her last name that makes the difference. How come? What is it? Hilton Hotels. That's the key to this class's position, the control over wealth. This is a capitalist economy. What that means is that the major economic resources are privately owned, and that gives them a lot of power and influence. It makes them society's order givers. Access to education, they will get the best. Can money make you smart? Yeah, it can. The nannies, the governess, the tutors, the special training they get, the summer vacations to Paris to see the Louvre. If little Billy Rockefeller has an art project and having spent the summer in Paris at the Louvre, can that help him do well in his little art class? Obviously. And if mommy and daddy have a lot of money, what can they do? Buy the Louvre and let them bring it to show and tell. There is a lot of influence in access to education. They get the best education, but even if money doesn't make them smart, they often still will get the best education. Teddy Kennedy, now dead, Democrat. Where did he go to college? Anybody know? Harvard. 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 Teddy Kennedy got into Harvard with what kind of grades? C's and D's. How come? Last name, Kennedy. George W. Bush, let's pick on a Republican now, past president of the United States. Where did he go to school? Yale. What kind of grades did he have in high school? C's. How come he got in Yale? Last name, Bush. Wealthy family. All right, next, family structure. Who's taking care of the kids, mom or dad in upper class families? The nanny, the governess, the au pair, which are therefore referred often as adult-directed family structures. The parents give orders to servants to raise the children for them. The Gates, example of that, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Bill Gates, flying all over the world in terms of his influence over Microsoft. But his wife, Melinda Gates, runs the Gates Family Foundation, one of the greatest donators of money to various social causes, especially education. She is also flying all over the country, giving talks and lectures about the foundation and its donations. Well, who's taking care of the kids in the meantime? The nanny, the governess, the au pair. Adult-directed family structures. These are this class closest to royalty as we get in this country. They get a lot of attention. They're on the cover of People magazine. But it's also here, like royalty, marrying well is important. Making sure you marry the right kind of people. You meet the right kind of people. Because if a Kennedy marries a Bush, weird. Two sides of the family bring with them inherited wealth. But if a Kennedy marries a nobody, that fortune will eventually get diffused if that keeps happening. So, adult-directed family structures, that's why they have the debutante balls, the coming out parties, those fancy East Coast boarding schools, Phillips, Exeter, Andover, those kinds of places. They are society's order givers, but that gives them a tremendous amount of self-confidence. Remember Cooley? Remember that whole notion of the looking glass self? It said something very simple. We are who other people think we are. Well, who do we think the wealthy are? They are our royalty. I mean, again, look at Paris Hilton. What is she good at? Give me a minute, I'll think of something. She's not that good an actress. She's not even that pretty. She's pretty, but can money make you pretty? Yeah. The tummy tucks, the breast augmentation, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. She's about as pretty as you can get with a lot of money. But we are fascinated with her life because of that last name. That itself becomes a resource. Self-confidence. If Cooley is right, we are who other people think we are. Being society's order givers gives these folks self-confidence and itself a resource. And they have a tendency to take over and lead in politics. The Kennedy family. Teddy Kennedy's first job out of college, senator from the state of Massachusetts, which he inherited from his dead brother. George Bush, the first office he ever ran for, governor of the state of Texas, won. These people have a lot of leadership, they have a lot of self-confidence, a lot of resources to pursue any aspect they are interested in. All right, that's the upper class. Any questions about that? The upper middle class, these are the folks that people come to college to become. The professions. Doctors, lawyers, engineers, executive, college professors, people whose economic resource is their profession. Making education key. There's no way you're going to become a doctor or a lawyer, especially a doctor, which is the height of the profession, without doing well in school. Here, yeah, you can be a Harvard dropout and still do well in life, but here, you're going to have to do well to become a doctor, get into med school, make it into a good law school. So, the entire round of life of this upper middle class, about 15% of the population, revolves around getting that education for their children, developing the abilities to do well in school, investing time and money to make sure those kids can do well. Mom's an anesthesiologist, dad is an engineer. When I was teaching back in Texas, I had a student like that in one of my classes. I was teaching at UT San Antonio. Can mom and dad help with homework? Mom, as an MD, did she do well in college in biology? Yeah. Dad, as an engineer, did he do well in math and science? Yes. Between the two of them, remember, increasing marital homogeneity. We talked about that with growing economic inequality. I mean, doctors are marrying doctors, lawyers are marrying lawyers. Sometimes a doctor will marry an engineer, as in this particular case. With that income, is that an advantage for this family? 2 doctors married each other. Average income of a physician in the United States today, about $250,000. But now there are 2 of them living together, married. That's $500,000. That's a huge amount of money. Child-centered family structures. Who's raising the kids? Both parents. Actively involved in raising children. Make sure that they do well in school. Mom and dad are both actively showing up at back-to-school night. They are checking in with the teachers to make sure that the kids are being well educated. If they find out there's a bad teacher their kid has been assigned to, they're up at school demanding a transfer. They will choose where to live on the basis of not whether the house has an ocean view or a pool, but whether the schools in the neighborhood are strong or not. Mostly these folks meet each other in college themselves. Doctors meet each other in med school. They marry at that point. The connection, again, is their education. Get the importance of education in almost everything we're talking about here. This is an institution honed for doing well in school. How do you do well in school? Well, take a look around in this classroom. There's a demonstration of that. All right. Is going to school fun? Let's be honest. Are you really enjoying yourself right now at 8:25 in the morning? Where would you rather be right now? Home, asleep. What is it like going to school? The experience is like standing around jabbing yourself in the eye with your fingers. It's boring stuff taught by boring people. But you put up with it because you have self-discipline. You show up on time. You do what's required. That's the goal. That's a key social psychological resource for the upper middle class. If you're going to do well in school, you're going to have to do the work, do the extra reading. It's not just enough to show up, get your C, and leave again. A lot of the people, remember how crowded this class was at the first class session of the school year? Half the class is now gone. Or are they? Having a better time than you are. But they lack that self-discipline to show up over and over and over again. And that's the key for doing well in school and becoming a professional. No one is going to stand over you as a physician and say, young lady, you better get into that operating room and operate or I'm going to spank you. No one's going to tell you as a lawyer, young man, you better get that brief in or it's time out for you. All that demands that you self-discipline, do the work, get it on time, do well in school, and move on. These people tend to be economically conservative, but socially liberal. They spend a huge amount of time in colleges and universities. Racism, homophobia, you spend any time at all around any major decent university. Are you going to be strongly socialized against stupid stuff like racism or hostility towards gays? Yeah, you will. You will. But on the other hand, they make a significant amount of money. Are they likely to want to throw that away in taxes? No. So economically conservative. Next, lower middle class. It's a much larger group than the upper middle class. I could have just combined these together. But there's enough resource difference between these two groups that I think it's worthwhile to separate them. Much larger group, about twice the size of the upper middle class. These are semi-professionals or people who have small businesses. A semi-professional is someone like a social worker, an elementary school teacher, typically somebody who has a college degree, a BA, but not a higher degree. Postgraduate, that is PhD, MD, LLD, master's degree, BA over here. And again, they're doing well, just not as well as over here. Two elementary school teachers married to each other. Average income of an elementary school teacher in the country right now is about $40,000. Two of them married together, they're pushing up closer to a six-figure income. That's not bad, but it ain't like over here. Also child-centered families, but the resources they have to devote to their children, that much less. Self-discipline, very important. But here you get another go at this concept called ritualism. Ritualism, this is the third time we've used it. It's fairly useful as a concept. It was developed by Merton's theory of deviance. That person who was obsessed with the means, forgot about the goals. Talk about that with bureaucratic inefficiency. Here, what we've got is a dividing line in terms of society's definition of success.